Building on its 140-year legacy, Breitling signed several key strategic partnerships in 2025. Now firmly established among Switzerland's leading luxury watchmakers, CEO Kern is turning his attention to the brand's next chapter. Now, Breitling is in the top 10 of the Swiss luxury watchmakers, but I assume that you want to get closer to rank number 5. I don't know whether you can crack the top 4, the big 4, obviously, but how do you want to raise the bar? How do you want to grow?
Well, a brand is like a human being. You're a child, you're a young person, you become an adult, and you dress differently, right? But it's the same persona. We have the right strategy. It works. Everything I described at the beginning of our interview works. But you evolve, you reach the next level. We've now signed a huge deal in the US with the NFL, which is a phenomenal investment, which brings us into a totally different league, which helps us a lot. There are other investments coming at the beginning of next year, which we're going to announce next year. We have launched in-house movements at the beginning of this year. We are 100% in-house movement manufacturer, as we say in our industry. Our average price increased, as I said, from 4,300 to 7,200. So you evolve. We become more mature. We become more powerful. We gain more market share. You look for perfection. You look for excellence. And this is how the brand evolves and becomes stronger.
You said you've been able to increase prices over the last couple of years. How much more wiggle room do you see there? How much more appetite do you see in your ability to further do that?
Well, anyway, we increase prices only if we have content. If we add content to a product, which is very different what happened in, for instance, the high luxury leather goods industry, where you bought a bag for 3,000 and suddenly it's 10,000, and consumers don't accept this anymore. But if you go, I take the car industry, from a V4 and you move into a V12, you have a different engine. And then consumers understand, okay, that is a more valuable product. And this is what happened with Breitling. We launched more valuable products. We sell more complicated watches. We launched a purple calendar. We launched our new in-house automatic. So we bring in value and content. And then if you have the pricing power, which comes through image, then you can increase prices. Just increasing prices doesn't work.
Let's talk about your growth strategy going further. 1 or 2 years ago, you bought 2 brands, one of them standalone, one of them a sister company. Are you going to be working and growing organically or through further M&A? What's your plan here?
First of all, these 2 brands will be launched next year, and it's a very important step for what we call now the House of Brands, right? House of Brands with Breitling in the center. Gallet will be more in the access segment between 2,500 and 5,000, exactly for the reasons I just explained, because we moved away from the entrance price points. I don't think we can stretch a brand like Breitling into both extremes, from super accessible to super expensive. I think Breitling has to stay between, let's say, 4,500 to 20,000, 30,000. That's our core business. Gallet will cover the entrance price point, the entrance luxury price segment. You're right, it's a sister brand. It will be written on the watch, manufactured by Breitling. And it's a similar brand in terms of style. It's outdoor, but it's more accessible than Breitling is. And then we have something incredible, which is called Universal Genève. And this is probably one of the most expected relaunches in the industry since 50, 60, 70 years. It has an incredible, passionate collectors community. All the journalists are, asking me questions on how we're going to relaunch it. We have mythical, iconic designs by Gerald Genta, one of the most iconic designers in the industry, with a pole router. And all of that will be shown next year in April in Geneva. And we've shown it already, obviously, to our retailers. And I can tell you, I've never seen in 30 years such a warm welcome on anything I've been doing in the industry since I'm in this industry. And the price point will be totally different. So it will start at, let's say, 15,000 and go upwards. And it will be managed in a total separate way. Management also will be based in Geneva, etc.
Josh, let's take a look into the future. Let's talk about what investors might be expecting from you. You're obviously also co-owner in the brand. You've been PE backed for a couple of years by Partners Group here in Switzerland. There's always been talk that your brand will do an IPO. Any news on that?
I mean, this you have to ask Partners Group. I'm very happy. We had a great period with CVC, which are still shareholders at 25%. We have a fantastic partner now here in Switzerland with Partners Group. Freddie Gantner, who is one of the three founders, is my chairman. He is somebody who truly understands the brand, who's totally passionate about the brand, who is backing the management, who trusts into our potential. And we'll see what possibilities there are in the market in the coming months and years. I think we have to really launch now Universal and Gallet, which will dramatically create value for the shareholders. Of course, we want to further grow with Breitling, but here we have two different segments which we can further develop and which will add, as I said, value to this house of brands.
I want to ask you about the importance of a mechanical watch, given that most of us have a smartwatch now, or we have something that is wearable. We have a phone. We have everything that we need to check the time with. Why do we need a mechanical watch? Is it the sort of return to authenticity that especially younger people are looking for?
I mean, why do you have paintings on the wall? Why you have sculptures? Why? One doesn't exclude the other. I also have digital watches when I do sports, etc. But it's a kind of piece of art. It's a lifestyle, what you're buying in here. It's certainly also a feel-good factor. And as I mentioned at the beginning, we're not robots. We want to enjoy life. And a mechanical watch is certainly nicer, more appealing, better in terms of storytelling. It's linked to emotions. You might get one when you get your first diploma, your first deal. Everybody has a story to tell about his or her mechanical watch. A digital watch or phone, you throw it away every 6 months. You have zero emotional attachment, and that's a fundamental difference between a piece of art, which is a mechanical watch like ours, or art as such, which you might have on the wall or watching into a screen.
Finally, let me ask you, given that parts of our conversation have been pretty bleak about what's going on in the world, tariffs, China, whatnot, what makes you most optimistic and sort of excited about the future of the luxury watch industry?
When you have your own money in the company, when you're an entrepreneur, you better be optimistic, right? I mean, that's the essence of being an entrepreneur, an investor, being optimistic. Otherwise, I can stay home and sleep and wait, right? But I'm optimistic by definition. I trust into new technologies, not in the watch industry, but overall in improvements in medicine, in improvements in environment. The technology advancements, AI, all of that will help humanity to grow, to further develop, to make this planet a better place. I'm optimistic that problems can be solved, political problems can be solved, economic problems can be solved, and as I said, we are Epicureans and will further consume.
Josh, thank you so much for that. That was Josh Kern, the CEO of Breitling, for this edition of the CNBC Conversation.
I don't think those people really